when I started, before I did Pilates, I did Kung Fu for a long time. I learned Kung Fu, and I learned this very traditional form of Kung Fu. It was very what they call a Southern soft style. So it was very like similar to Tai Chi and Qigong that we did. So I was basically I was learning to be able to move these kind of subtle energies around the body and stuff. And so, which is 1,000% unscientific. It's just not scientific at all. And then, so when I started Pilates, I sort of started with that same uncritical mindset of like, oh, well, what my teacher told me, that their teacher told them, that their teacher told them, like it's truth handed down from the gods, on stone tablets. And I accepted it uncritically. But then I get obsessive about things, and I got obsessive about Pilates and anatomy, and I just like studied a lot. Like I looked at the books and they're like, okay, what books do they say to read? And I read those books. And so I started knowing a bit about anatomy. And then I was at Toronto studying in Stop Pilates. Could I learn Stop Pilates? I was studying at Stop Pilates headquarters one time doing their instructor trainer program to train trainers for them. And I was learning with one of the most senior educators there. She was teaching the trainers to train trainers, at head office. And we were doing this exercise. It was on the chair, and I can't remember what specific exercise, but basically, I said in the manual it says like the hamstrings are working in this exercise. And I said, like, can you explain to me how the hamstrings are working? Because it doesn't make sense to me how this is a hamstring exercise. And I remember she explained, I can't remember what she said, but I just remember listening to her explain and going and thinking like, she doesn't fucking understand what she's talking about. Like she just doesn't know the answer and she's just making some shit up. Mm-hmm. Like I knew enough to know it's like, what you're saying is just total bullshit. You're just making this up. And I thought this is that. So that really was a pivotal point for me where I realized, okay, there's so much I still don't know. But like, I know more than this person already. And not only do I know more than her, but she's bullshitting to try and pretend that she knows. And but the whole house of cards crumbled for me in that moment, and I was like, so what else is wrong about about this? And I started looking at it and left everywhere I looked, I was like, oh shit, here's another thing that's just unsubstantiated. And I looked up, and when I went back to uni, when I was in my 40s, I learned how to look at research, and I started looking, and I came to realize that Pilates is not some kind of mystical, magical form of exercise where there's some kind of thing that happens that's not just what happens when you do exercise. Like Pilates is literally just exercise, and so every principle that applies to weightlifting or yoga or calisthenics applies exactly the same to Pilates. Yeah. And I love Pilates. I think Pilates is amazing, and there's something magical about the experience of doing Pilates that just draws people and makes people feel good. But just in terms of the physiology of what happens it's just exercise. And the more I looked in around the industry, the more I saw people just believing in magical thinking and just saying things that were just not true. And that if you go into the exercise science world, these things are completely uncontroversial. Like no one would say these things.
Yep.
But in Pilates, like everyone just accepts it as like, the truth of the gods, And so basically I had that conversion from being like the Kung Fu student who believed in Qi and, all of that stuff. And then I kind of brought that same mindset into Pilates, but then I basically had this conversion moment where I realized, oh no, you can just understand this stuff. It's just science, like it's just, and most of the questions about, what's happening here is like, there's a correct answer to that. And we actually know it most of the time,
Yep.
So, yeah. And so since then I can't stand it when there's a true answer and people are just knowingly saying things that are not true. Like that, I don't know why, but it just really, I can't abide that.